as a brain dump. So how might a student list ideas? Like this, in a Commonplace book or a Commonplace binder. So welcome to the Commonplace Binder 101 playlist. This is video number 35, so we're a little bit more than a third of the way through. I'm going to go through these columns, and then we're going to talk about the next video. But, you know, that's for later. So, how a student might list ideas. You just want to write them down. So, a student is a person, and the way that most people list ideas is they write them down. And then after writing them down, you can sort them into different lists, which are slightly different, slightly more useful. Hope it works. So, it might not. But, you know, if you don't write it down, how's it going to work? So, just list it out, or just write it down and then turn it into a list. It's fine. Finding shortcuts. What are the shortcuts to writing the things down and writing them in an effective list? Well, you could think about it and then just write it down perfectly. That's kind of the only shortcut for that. So that's not really a shortcut. However, if you have a Commonplace binder or a Commonplace book, remember a Commonplace book is basically what people use before computers to remember everything, or at least look through the information that they wrote down and consolidate it into notes that they could apply to their daily life. So yeah, finding shortcuts, that might help with that. I didn't realize the Commonplace book is next, but we basically just talked about a Commonplace book, so yeah. Commonplace binder, basically a Commonplace book, and yeah. Sometimes they're done by subject, not always. So, for example, this is my demonstration Commonplace book, Commonplace binder, and so this, you know, is all about the videos that I've been making, that I will be making. We are on number 35 right now, so that is ideas. So how a student might list ideas. We grab the keyword of ideas, put that up here, and I don't see a student. So I'm not really sure where a student came from. It might be I wrote down student as one of the I'm not really sure what to call these. Note cards, index cards, but within the outline, I basically make 20 different things. I write stuff after that, and then if I decide I don't really like what the word or group of words is at the beginning, I change it based on whatever I wrote afterwards to more accurately reflect things. So, student was probably in here, and then I swapped it out for something. So, unequal distribution. Yeah, there's an unequal distribution of knowledge, so I feel like having a Commonplace book or a Commonplace binder for every student might be helpful, because I might list ideas in one way, you might list ideas in another way, but if somebody doesn't have a list, they're going to have a disadvantage. And that might be kind of messy. But when I wrote this down, I was probably thinking about the messiness of a Commonplace book or a Commonplace binder, because, you know, this doesn't look the most organized. It definitely looks more organized than it used to. Oh, it looks like pages are coming out at the bottom. But yeah, this gets kind of messy. And part of the reason for this is because the information is not complete. And so in a Commonplace book, it focuses more on the completeness of the knowledge, whereas a Commonplace binder is more, you put stuff in, take it out, and eventually, through that messy process, you will get there. Doodles. How do doodles fit into this? Well, a student might add some doodles, but in a normal Commonplace book or a binder, you might also add some doodles. Normally, because this is like the notes that are actually super important, there won't be as many doodles, but there will sometimes be actual like high quality artwork, which is there to prove a point of some kind. Necessary. Is the art necessary? Usually not. Now, if your Commonplace is all about medical knowledge and you don't include any graphs, charts, or pictures of any kind, that might be a problem. So, in that sense, the doodles are very necessary. But if you are listing ideas, they're probably not super relevant. based on difficulty. I don't know how difficult it is to list ideas, but it might be that the way you rank your ideas or the way that you list your ideas is based on how difficult they are to complete or think about or otherwise deal with. Journal. Why would these be connected? How a student might list ideas in their journal? Maybe. But probably just do a brain dump for that. So like you could call that a journal. You could switch these words. Basically, you're just taking everything out of your head, bleh, all over the page. So obviously, you're not like physically removing the organs. Don't do that. That's very dangerous, if not deadly. But like, if you're just writing down some things you're thinking about that are on your mind, and then, you know, organizing them a little bit, or just focusing more on just getting the stuff out of your head and then listing the stuff, that's probably fine. As a numbered list. How might they list the things? As a numbered list. You just add some little numbers, and then you write some things afterwards. Wow, you did it. Paper for kids. So, how might a student list ideas? On some pretty crappy paper. A lot of people don't give kids the best quality paper, so often it's like lined paper, where like if you erase it, the eraser might go through the page. Like the eraser, not even the pencil. It's like, wow, okay. So, how might a student list ideas? Maybe not on that super crappy paper. Maybe they'll just use a computer or a tablet or a phone or literally anything else because they don't want to deal with that. Digital for teens. I don't know if we should make all the teens stuff digital. Aren't they supposed to go outside? Aren't they supposed to not stare at things right in front of their face? That might be kind of inconvenient. So, I think they're going to find out that there are some digital tools, and they're probably going to list things digitally. Sorry. Flip through. Well, if you list a bunch of things, you got to flip through that eventually. So, if you make a list and you never flip through it, it's kind of like you made a list, and that's cool, I guess. But why, though? So, I don't know. Parents and guardians. So, are the students going to list things a little bit differently if they think their parents or guardians, or maybe their teachers, are going to be able to see the things? Yeah, probably. They're probably going to list the things a little bit differently. But it might be that, you know, they make a list of things that the parents can actually see what the heck is happening. Because it might be the parents, they just don't. They don't know what's going on. Which happens sometimes. Sometimes the parents don't know, sometimes the students don't know, sometimes the guardians don't know. Like, that happens. Social media. So I talked about digital earlier. How a student might list ideas on social media could also be different. So on social media, this is more about the clicks, about the shock and awe. I'm going to say something scandalous. No, I'm not. But it seems to be that's how a lot of people end up doing things. The only way to push something is to make it interesting. So that means either create a community or just convert an existing community into your own, or, you know, do a bunch of other things which aren't necessarily going to be the things the student needs to know. Maybe it is. Maybe that's all we're going to do from now on. We're just going to do stuff on social media and nothing else is going to exist. I kind of doubt that, though. Music. So maybe what they're doing is they're just going to list their favorite music. Wow. Do students even have music classes anymore? I feel like we basically just like got rid of everything that wasn't math or English class. And we're just like, good luck. Maybe it's coming back. I don't know. Avoid bullying. So if they're writing a list in a Commonplace book or a Commonplace binder, that's probably better than journaling because, well, they're in middle school and people are going to make fun of them regardless. And yeah, so some people will say, the other people won't remember what you said in middle school, but like some people actually do, and some people... I don't know, it's that weird part of life where like everyone's doing something insane, even if the insane thing is doing everything normally. But we don't need to focus on that. Project. How might they list ideas for a project? Well, that probably depends on the person. It might also be that they encountered so much bullying, or they're trying so hard to avoid it, that they're doing all of the project or none of the project, so they'll fully list everything out. So back when I was in school, which was kind of a long time ago at this point, I used something called Inspiration, which was a program where it was about like connecting little thought bubbles, which I thought was kind of fun. But that meant I needed to use something digital, because that was a computer program, so I brought my laptop, which was barely allowed at the time. But the problem with that is everybody was making fun of my laptop. And it wasn't really helping me with the projects, because it wasn't that I was having mental problems or anything else. I wasn't getting sleep, I wasn't getting food, I wasn't getting the right amount of exercise. I was getting way too much exercise. It was just not a good time. So like, the digital stuff wasn't the problem. The bullying stuff wasn't from the other teens, or at least that wasn't the problem. So like, working through the projects, it wasn't about the list. It wasn't about really any of this stuff, other than unequal distribution of resources. And I wasn't getting resources. So it might be there are kids that don't even worry about the bullying. They literally don't notice it. Like, somebody could do something right in front of them with like 4 other people, and they could be like, I'm just trying to walk down the hallway. Like, they won't even notice. Because it's like, what are you going to do? That's worse than like starvation or sleep deprivation or like anything else. It's just not, it's not relevant. So, I don't know. I might list stuff for a project. But that's about it for this video. So if you want to check out the next one, which looks like it's about the importance of a commonplace binder, the words might be a little bit different. This is a summarized version of the next title. And, yeah. If you want to make one of these, it's not super necessary, but you might find it fun or helpful or a thing to look back on. And yeah, I definitely stretched this too far. So thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.